Now, Mikel Arteta says that Sunday's North London derby is one of the biggest games of the season as Arsenal look to extend their lead at the top of the Premier League. You might remember that Arsenal beat Tottenham in the reverse fixture in October.
I just love it. That's the reason why we are here, to play this kind of games. It's one of the biggest games of the season for us. We know how much it means right now for us on the table, and how much it means to our people as well. But we just have to focus on playing well and doing what we have to win the game. We just face the challenge and the opportunity ahead of us, and we know where we are. At Arsenal, you don't expect anything that is not winning football matches every 3 days, and that's the demands that we have as a club, and everybody individually and every member of the staff knows that the challenge is weekly or daily to be better and to win the game. It doesn't matter who you play against. In the last few years, there were places that we haven't won in 15, 17, 20 years. So we would like to do all in once. We haven't been able to do that, so we have a great challenge and opportunity on Sunday to get.
Well, Shakhtar Donetsk midfielder Mikel has been linked with a move to Arsenal this January. His recent social media posts have been adding fuel to those rumours, but Arteta wouldn't be drawn on the club's transfer news.
You know, we cannot talk about any other player. There are some interest that on things that we would like to do to improve the team, obviously, because we are a bit short in certain areas and with the injuries that we picked. But we are trying, and as a club, we are determined to try to improve the team in every window, and that's what we are trying to do.
You've missed some good posts. I'm sure you've been filled in. I mean, he looked very happy in his Arsenal shirt on social media this morning.
I will tell you how good I am with the phone, so.
Was an interesting exchange between Gail Davis, our reporter, and the Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta. Well, let's get more on this game and speak live to former Arsenal defender Johan Djurou, who spent 10 years at the club. Johan, really appreciate you sparing the time to speak to us. Welcome along to Sky Sports News. We heard Mikel Arteta talking about how special the North London derby is. You first experienced it in 2006. What are your memories of that day?
Hi, David. Yes, definitely. You know, the North London derby is such a big thing because I remember it's like the chef coming to talk to me and the people working at the club coming to talk to us and say how important it was for them to win the game. So it's how big as this game is, such not only for the players, but as well in the institution. So it's such a special game.
In terms of Arsenal's records at Tottenham in this fixture, I was just looking up the stats, Johan. Spurs unbeaten their last 8 Premier League meetings at home, winning 6 of those, including each of the last 3. How much of a factor is it, that away ground, the Tottenham fans at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
They do have the upper hands. That's true. They're confident playing in there against Arsenal. It's a fact. But now I think things have changed a little bit. I think that this Arsenal team is not afraid of any challenge, and they show it in the past. So I think it's going to be interesting. But that's for sure that we know that Tottenham at home against Arsenal, it's a different beast. So let's see how the guys and the team can approach this game, because it's going to be a very important game for the rest of the season, that's for sure.
And as well, you know, in May, towards the end of last season, it finished 3-0 to Spurs, a result that ended up costing Arsenal a place in the top 4 and in the Champions League. But how much have they moved on since then?
Massively. I think it's a totally different team. And I won't say team, sorry, I would say mentality. I think the philosophy that Arteta implemented into the team is finally there. So we know they know what they have to do. They stick to the principle. They stick to the way of playing that they want to do, and they're not scared of anyone. You know, I think that maybe before you could be intimidated by the way you were maybe playing at away ground, but you don't see that today. Even though if they are behind, they will still stick to the philosophy and try to come back by playing the beautiful game that they play. So I think that the team has grown up so much that I hope from the bottom of my heart that the outcome will be different.
And of course, if Arsenal do get a first win in a long time away to Tottenham in the Premier League, given it's a big London game, it would be a case of mind the gap, the big gap, the 14-point gap as it would be. How much of a statement would that make?
That will be such a huge statement for this team. And I think that we as well have to say that people were scared of how the people will come back from the World Cup, and they keep going. Like, you know, we saw Man City losing point. Okay, they came back because they won, and Arsenal drew against Newcastle, but they keep on pressuring, they keep on producing. Gabriel Jesus was injured, Eddie Nketiah came in and doing the job. So if they can win and take that massive of a gap of 14 points, that will be a huge statement. And we never know in football, but I think that the title will get closer.
And of course, in terms of winning the title, it's been the case time and time again. A strong defence, being tight at the back is so key. I wonder, what do you make of the partnership of Gabriel Magalhaes and William Saliba this season, Johan?
David, what I make is I cannot stop on only of those two. For me, it's the whole unit. And I think that, of course, we can pick them up and we pick them out and say that they've been doing great. But the way Arsenal pressurized team from the front is what makes the difference, because it's easier for a defender when there's constant pressure on the opponent to defend. And I think that, of course, they've been great. But for me, it's more the harmony, like the cohesion between the players and the fact that they all go the same way. And we see it. It's difficult to break this Arsenal team down. And I think that, of course, when you're a defender and playing into such conditions, it makes it easier for you. But they've been great, that's for sure, as well, individually.
And as you know, Johan, you don't get any more points for winning this game as opposed to any other game. It's still just the 3 points. But what sort of effect could it have on Arsenal psychologically, and what sort of bearing could it have on their hopes of winning the title if they get the results at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium?
David, massively, because you just said it before. I think that last season, maybe that game was a bit of a turning point. And I think that if you are able to win in a place where you lost before and make a statement, that's totally changed your view psychologically. And I think that if Arsenal were to win in Tottenham, where they lost last season at a key point, a key moment of the season, it will make such a huge difference for, of course, the team, but as well the boost of believing that they can do it. But I'm sure today they do believe it, because inside they know what they're playing for. They've grown up, they've been criticized from last year to now, and now they're showing, and they keep on showing, and they keep on proving. So I think that this fire is still, is still burning inside, and I think now is to get to the end goal, to the end line, sorry.
Of course, Mikel Arteta deserves huge credit. He's won Manager of the Month. In terms of changing the culture of the club, yes, they've recruited well, but actually having that sort of effect on his existing squad of players, how has he done it, Johan?
I think it's, as I always say, of course you need time, and it's to convince the player to buy into your philosophy. And that's what he did amazingly well, because if we can remember, a lot of people wanted him out because we want instinct. We want instantly the result. We want to be the Man City. We want to compete straight away. And I understand that, because as a fan, you want the team to compete and to be at the top of the table. But when you come with a philosophy and the players that you have don't know the philosophy, you need time. You need time for them to understand how you want to press, how you want to play, how you want to create superiority in certain part of the pitch. So those things take time. And for me, what's great is, for example, if we take and we pick out a player like Granit Xhaka, the way he turned him, the way he was able to bring him back into the team, that showed that people believe in his skills, believe in his ability to see and his vision. And I think that when you have a team that believes in the vision, it's very, very difficult to stop.
Yeah, that's a very telling example, isn't it? The rehabilitation of Granit Xhaka, how important he is to the team. It could have turned out a very different way, couldn't it, with the Swiss? Now, Mikel Arteta hinted that Gabriel Jesus could be out for quite some time. As you'll know, they would like to sign Mykhailo Mudryk from Shakhtar Donetsk, but they're not the only team who are in for him, Johan. But how significant would it be if they could seal his capture from Shakhtar Donetsk?
I think we still have to be careful with this one, because obviously I had a chance to follow him in the Champions League with the Sharpaks when he was at Shakhtar, and he's a very talented player. But is he the X factor that will make such a difference to the end of the season? What I can say is that he's very talented, and for sure he's the kind of player and the type of player that Mikel Arteta would love, because he has that technical ability. He's very quick on his feet, and I'm sure he will buy into the philosophy. But I would say as well that, for example, AD is doing a great job, and the team is still working well. So, of course, you need more bodies into the team, but I'm not sure that putting so much pressure on such one player and the young players to say that he's the key factor that will make a difference. I think the team today knows what they have to do. And I will even say that I think that any player that will come into this Arsenal team with the vision that Arteta has will be successful.
In terms of the 90 minutes on the pitch at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Super Sunday, Johan, if I offered you a draw, I'm guessing you probably wouldn't take it. What do you think the final score is going to be?
I can only say that Arsenal is gonna win. I think 2-1 for the Arsenal.
OK, we'll see how it all works out. Thank you very much indeed, Johan. Great to speak to you here on Total Football.
Thank you, David. Thank you.
All right, so that is the view from Arsenal. Let's head to Tottenham's training ground now and to our reporter Michael Bridge, who was speaking to Antonio Conte earlier. I'm sure you were listening in very keenly to what Johan Djouri had to say there, Michael. But as far as the Spurs side of things is concerned, any update on the injury front ahead of this absolutely huge game?
Yes, David, it is absolutely huge. And the team news is greater significance because of the magnitude of this derby, not just because of Spurs v Arsenal being such a great game anyway, but if Arsenal win, that puts them 14 points clear of Spurs. I can't imagine what the atmosphere would be like come 7 p.m. if Arsenal did win that game. So the question is, Bentancur, Kulusevski, Richarlison, which ones are coming back? Who's fit? Who's out? This is what Conte had to say.
For sure the situation is going to improve, and especially for Deki, for Kulusevski, and he had the training session the last few days with us, and yeah, I think he's going to be ready.
OK, so lots of talking points in the forward areas, and particularly, as always, around Harry Kane. But for one specific reason this weekend, as you'll know, Michael, one goal away from equalling the Tottenham goal-scoring record of 266, which is held currently by Jimmy Greaves. How much would Harry Kane love to do it in this particular fixture?
Oh, there's no other team he'd like to do it against, Harry Kane. He's got such a fantastic record in the North London derby. He scored the most goals in the North London derby. It's a fixture he gets up for. He scores in so many of them. And yeah, absolutely. And look, he's recovered really well after such a disappointing moment for him, that missed penalty against France in the World Cup. He scored against Brentford and he scored 2 goals at Crystal Palace. He put in an excellent performance. He scored against Portsmouth last Saturday. He's raring to go for this huge match. And this is what Conte had to say about his striker.
For us, is an important point of reference. And yeah, I'm sure that he's going to beat this record, and he's doing something of incredible. And at the same time, we try to help him, and if he scores, he helps us.
It's always interesting, isn't it, when you come into these big games, Michael, what the managers will say about each other. But Conte, full of praise for the job that Mikel Arteta is doing at Arsenal?
Yeah, I mean, he has to really as well, David, doesn't he? You know, Arsenal are top of the league at the end of the day. You know, there's plenty discussed about Arteta today as well, about, you know, the way he is on the touchline. Antonio Conte animated on the touchline. I mean, they're going to need like a second camera on Sunday with these two. But no, he is very complimentary towards Arteta. And this is what he had to say to him about Arteta in the last half an hour.
They are showing that they are in the right direction. They are first in the Premier League. They are at top of the table, and but especially they are deserving to stay in this position. It's not for lucky.
So that was Antonio Conte on his North London rival, Mikel Arteta. And there was plenty more from Conte. He spoke about transfers. Not a hell of a lot on transfers, but we will talk about transfers. I'll be back in the studio, the transfer show, at 7 o'clock. But it is just a couple of days away now. Tottenham v Arsenal, the North London derby, on Super Sunday.
Safe travels, Michael. Thank you very much indeed. Yeah, as Michael rightly says, huge North London derby awaits. Our coverage on Sunday begins with Super Sunday Match Day, and it comes to you live from the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. As you can see there, Vicky Gomez will be joined by Darren Lewis and Sam Wallace. It's right here on Sky Sports News and also Sky Sports Main Event.